Hey, hey, Live Sparkers, welcome to the show. We are here again today with my dear friend Sonya Luckey. She is a fellow life coach, and she's also a very close personal friend and someone that we just feed off of one another, but we also hold each other accountable. And I love that about you, Sonya. So welcome today. How are you?
Good. How are you? Glad to be here.
Yes, yes. I want to talk to you about how the new year's going for you. It's almost the end of January 2026, and I don't even know what happened. It's like blink, it's gone. How's it going?
It's going good so far. I mean, it's just the beginning. Like I was telling you earlier, I'm not really a New Year's resolution kind of person, but I do like to go in with intentions. And I do feel like this year I would like to focus on not being so afraid of change and stepping into what is coming in front of me and kind of allowing it to organically unfold with open eyes and heart.
Hmm. I think a lot of times we think we're in control and we're really not. Like if we could if we could just go through life with an open heart and open minds and confidently accept what's coming for us because the universe will always deliver what is meant for us, whether we like it or not.
Absolutely.
That's how it's going to go. I used to plan my life 5 years out, and now I'm like, yeah, no, I'm going to take it a day at a time because things are going to change. Like I can have the best laid plans and then zoom.
Absolutely. And embracing that with trust and excitement and curiosity, right?
Yes, well, you brought it up. Change, willingness to change. I am so interested in that topic lately, partly because I just feel like it's hard for people to change in general. Some of us have done so much work around it, but I feel like we're in this crazy time where people want a quick fix and
Gosh,
aren't really wanting to do the deep work. You and I have spent so much time talking about core values, so much time talking about what drives our behavior. And we could talk about it all day because we love it. We're passionate about it. It's what we do. It's what we have worked so hard to have clarity around. But I just find the average person struggles like they want to. They really do, but it's so hard. Why is it so hard?
well, you get in your comfort zones, and when you got to make some changes, you've got to, just like when you're learning a new language, you want to just say, "Can I have a glass of water?" It's just so easy. Trying to say that in a different language, you got to stop and think, and you got your brain going. It's that muscle that you're having to stretch, and so it's really easy to just be like talk yourself into. It's just easier to stay this way. And a lot of times I have to add this, people aren't even aware that they need the change. You can't even change what you're not even acknowledging. You just have this feeling inside and you're not quite sure why.
Yeah. That's a lot of it. So where do people go? Where do they start with that? Like, I have a feeling, I don't, but I'm just saying, if they're sitting there feeling that way, I don't know what to do. Where do they start?
I feel like that is one of my favorite things to do with my clients is once they realize there's something going on, then they're open to willing to have the conversation of why that is and to dive deeper into that. And that false perception, individually, I feel like, we're told something, whether it be, you're around it with your family, that's a family traditional way of doing things, or you're literally even told you are lazy or you are worthless or whatever. And so that perception, you take that on and make that real. And it's a false perception. That's the first step, is like recognizing that and then going to, okay, what is the real perception here? And am I
Yeah.
willing and able to embrace that newness of me without feeling like I'm an imposter of myself or I'm lying to myself,
Right.
especially if it's been generational.
Yes, I agree. I have a little practice that I do with my clients where I say, what is the desired outcome that you're looking for here? So we talk through what that desired outcome is, and then we clarify what the obstacles are. What's in the way? 9 times out of 10, the number one thing that people say is it's someone else's fault. Someone else is whatever. And so then the next step is drilling down. Let's talk for a second about what you can influence and or control in this situation and be honest about it, because if you're not honest, you don't make progress. But secondly, if you can't influence or control it, let it go. That
Yeah.
you're like, it's not yours to. control or influence. Like, but I think a lot of people don't realize the power. You just said it, the power of their words. Somebody spoke over them. We don't realize the power of our words and what we're literally calling in all day, every day. And in a situation like that, where they have a desired outcome and that it's just, they have a perception in their brain of what the obstacles are to getting from here to there. And they don't realize that they're literally this far away, and they're in their own way, or they're not realizing the power that they have to just make that tweak.
Absolutely. Especially if you grew up with a lot of criticism, it's almost like swallowing a chicken bone to take I guess I don't like the word blame. I don't like blaming others or myself. I feel like I like to look at the situation and go, what can I learn from this? And what is my part? And so that and for me, that empowers me, because if I'm blaming others, I'm giving away my power. Or even if I'm blaming myself, I'm like, okay, well, that's just, a negative spiral that I can get myself into. But something we talked about the other day that I really wanted to bring up here, because we have individual false perceptions, but we also have cultural false perceptions. And when that happens, that's a little bit harder, to be honest with you, because even if you wake up to the false perception, you're so in it, the whole your whole culture around
Yes.
you is living it, that
Yes.
it becomes really like dynamic. I mean, this is when you have your big leaders who are going, no, we're not doing this, and they change the laws and that kind of stuff. But it can really give you a feeling of helplessness when
Yes.
a big thing comes up, like you were talking about with your church and things of that
Yeah.
nature. And exposing the truth makes people uncomfortable.
Very.
And so that's something I'd like to bring to the table too, because it's a really powerful thing that we live in America.
Yes, I think around the world, not all other cultures are that way. I as much, but a lot of people. I've taken a lot of criticism this week on, that I'm blaming other people, and I'm not. It's, I had some person even say one finger forward, and there's three looking back at you. Okay, there's a very distinct difference when you're speaking about facts of a situation and clarifying perception in a situation versus this is just my whatever opinion, and I'm not blaming anybody. I'm taking full responsibility for my part in either making the shift and raising awareness, bringing up the vibe of people feeling like they energetically can address the truth about it. And that takes, I don't care if we're talking about politics. I don't care if we're talking whatever it is, any group that has a distinct culture in it. There's something called group think. There's something called to stand alone is fearful.
Mhm.
And that part is so getting honest about what is a fact versus what is someone's opinion. And I just want to, in the conversation we had the other day, it's like if we could just learn to listen to that still small voice, that gut feeling that we have, that something's off here. This has never felt right for me. Every time I'm around that person, I get a certain feeling. When I look forward to seeing that person, I don't look forward to it. Like I know I'm going to have to be in a room with so and so, and it's like my gut is like dreading it. I dread getting ready. I dread getting in the car. I dread driving there because it's just going to be either a complete waste of your time and energy, or it's going to be more of the same rhetoric that doesn't align.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's hard to follow your gut instincts when you're being told other things on the outside. Like I said, even silently, like we're witnessing people, like we were talking about earlier. If you are in a domestic violence situation and you have a black eye, it is in our culture to put on sunglasses and make excuses for it. If you were to
Yes.
go out and start publicly talking about how your husband hit you, you're going to make people uncomfortable. And some people are even going to wonder why you're airing your dirty laundry. What is wrong with you? And we've come a long way. I don't want to say we haven't, but we do still have that stigma around us where it's like when you expose truth, it makes some people very uncomfortable.
Yes. Why is that? I just don't understand the seed of that. I guess for myself, it's because I have tasted death. I have been on the brink of not wanting to live. I have just, and so I've clawed my way back in places and ways that I now stand in such integrity and in such a knowing of who I am and what I stand for and what I will not tolerate. And so I think that's really like why I even decided to go back into coaching is I have such a passion for that to show others that it's possible to come out the other side intact and with passion and fire in your soul that is just undeniable. Like people can feel it before you walk in the room. And
Yes,
it's
absolutely. And I feel like that's the passion for me. What life coaching does is that, I'm not doing the work for them. Obviously, that wouldn't be any helpful at all. But to be like a coach, you're right by their side. You're noticing when they're, wanting to defer, they're getting to know their personalities and bringing them back gently to you are safe in this environment and allowing it to unfold at the pace that works for them. Some people are a lot quicker and some people are slower, and there's no right or wrong.
right.
And I feel like when you are in an environment that doesn't feel safe, to be honest, even with yourself, how do you get moved on from that? There has to be a drive. There has to be something that pulls you, some kind of paycheck, if you will,
A
that
catalyst of
worth
some
the
kind.
work because it's a lot of
Yes,
work.
it is.
And you
But
might
it's
even
so
lose
worth.
people around you. That happens sometimes too. You
Oh, it
make these
does.
changes and all of a sudden, people, and it is frightening to make big changes, but it is also possible and it's freeing.
Oh, I would never go back. I just couldn't.
Yeah.
I mean, and I want that for everybody now. Anybody that I meet, it's like my vibe when I walk around the grocery store is, hey, you know, how are you? I genuinely care. I want to know, I want connection. And that's really, I have also learned, we were talking about faith a lot this week, and I grew up in such a situation that I don't go to church now, but I am very much have come to the conclusion for myself that the one thing we get to take with us when we pass away is relationship. It is the connection that we leave behind. That's what people are going to remember. They're going to remember how we made them feel
Absolutely.
and how we helped them or how we and that's really like that's the only legacy that anybody could really want, I would think. But I don't want to speak for anybody else. I will say that for myself, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. And I feel the same way on the reverse end. Like there's just certain people I really cherish being around their energy. It just feels natural and safe. And I want to represent that in the world. Like you're saying, leaving that essence, everywhere we go. And a lot of that has to do with being humble. And, if you go into a room with like, I'm going to brighten up this room, you've lost the point. It's just kind of like looking around the people around in the room, having some discernment and keeping to your own lane and making sure that you're presenting and you're showing up as yourself in a genuine open heart way. And there's always room for growth and there's always room for expansion.
Yeah.
And I mean, when you say I can't ever go back, it's like literally, like once you see it and feel it, you can't unsee it, you can't unfeel it. But I do
Yeah.
still have situations in my life where I go, oh, here it is again. I got to practice this, getting out of my comfort zone again. But it gets easier and easier because you understand the rewards behind it, and the
Hmm.
risk just doesn't feel as deep anymore, or as frightening, or as unfamiliar.
Right. Here's something else. I just wanted to acknowledge what you said earlier about, seeing somebody with the black eye or seeing somebody like I just had a flashback of you and I sitting and having breakfast together at Nature's Market. And what people around us must have thought when we were just, with one another because we just are such on the same vibe. But here's what I want to say about that. Um, if we look up and see someone in distress or see someone that's lonely, just the eye contact alone, the acknowledgement, the not looking away from their pain we didn't have to say a word. Not one word needs to be spoken. What can be felt and connected with just I see you with my eyes and I'm not looking away is so powerful. And even if that's the first step that we need to do as a society is to just start actually looking at one another and acknowledging one another. Like, how many of us go through the checkout line and don't even acknowledge the person that's standing there doing it for us, Like they're a person.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, yeah, I don't know. I think I really want to acknowledge how hard change is, and I want to acknowledge how hard it is sometimes. Like, it's painful to see someone's pain.
Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
is.
Yeah.
But I have another saying I do a lot that we talked about this, you and I'm responsible to you, not for you.
Yeah, definitely.
And
And I think that a lot of people feel uncomfortable too because they don't know what the right response is. And I think that's where I like to like pause, like I'm not there to find the right response. That might sound weird, but it's not. I'm more there like where are they at? Like when
yes.
my kids used to fall down, I wasn't that parent that ran over dramatically and was like, "Are you okay?" It was like I ran over, but I was just like, and the vibe was like looking into their eyes, like, I'm here if you need me, But a lot of the times, once they saw that, they just got up, brushed off, and went playing. And that teaches them self care. It teaches them, that they got it on their own too. I'm right here for you, but you don't necessarily need me. And when you do, I'm here, kind of thing. And so, yeah, there's that piece of it too. There's so many dynamics of it, really.
So many layers, and it takes, I'm not there all the time. Like you said, there's still areas in my life that
Yep.
I struggle or that I very quickly can get out of alignment. I very quickly can be like, and let it derail me for a period of time. But I'm now it's easier to come back for me now.
Absolutely. Well, and the big part is, right, once you realize what it feels like to be out of alignment, it's easy to know, okay, as opposed to being out of alignment a lot and feeling what it feels like to be in alignment, having those moments, it shifts, right? And
Yes.
you like being that in alignment place because it's more, clarity and it just makes life easier, And there's
Yes.
times where it's just like, I can tell I'm out of alignment and I don't want to I kind of want to be there for a minute. It's like I'm feeling some really passionate feelings right now. And I'm not going to just go into my affirmations like, no, I'm happy. Everything's good. Everything's good. It's like, I want to sit with those feelings. I want to be
Yes.
like, okay, where is this coming from? Let's get in touch with it.
Yes.
Do I need to
Yes.
yell? Do I need to cry? Do I need to breathe? Like, what's my body going through and where did that come from?
Yes. The body keeps a score and it always knows. Like, if we can just learn to listen to our bodies, I think that's a great place for people to start, is to just be aware of where the tightness is, if they're breathing properly. And by properly, I just mean you're breathing in and you're breathing out. You're not holding your breath
Yeah.
and sitting stoically in you know, just waiting for the bomb to drop or whatever.
Right. Yeah,
It's
it's like you up that to me, like taking three like quick breaths sometimes
yes,
just shifts everything for me.
yes,
It's like I
me
didn't
too.
realize I was shallow breathing or not breathing or whatever. It's just like, okay, wait a minute, and that becomes a habit. Like so for
Hmm.
so long, I wouldn't even notice I was doing that, quite honestly. So that was a nice, easy, and it often is easy, truly. Like this stuff is feels like simple things.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. A lot of times we overcomplicate things and it's really not that hard. It's a choice. It's deciding that you want to know how it works. And getting in touch with my body was one of the last things that I was a sexual abuse survivor. So that was a very hard thing for me. And now at the end, to know when to stretch and know when to breathe and know when to, like, that took a long time for me to process why my body would just go rigid, or you know why I would wake up in total terror or whatever.
Yes.
um, but
That's a good
I
point.
just
That is a really good point. I feel like, people who've had physical abuse or neglect, even not having any touch, There's so many dynamics of how to have a healthy relationship with touch without judging ourselves. You know what I mean? And
Yes.
labeling yourself as weird or broken, just being like, wow, this is a response to the trauma that my body and heart had endured. And sitting with that for a minute to see, what do I need as me, this individual person, to feel in alignment? What does alignment feel like for me? And what
Right.
brings that in for me?
Right.
That is just a beautiful journey in itself, which I also love doing with life coaching. It's
Yes,
really a
I do
beautiful
too.
process.
That's really step number one is figuring out what you want to value, where you want, what matters most, to you. And once you can establish that, and really do the work around it on letting go of the things that no longer serve you or things that have always kept you small, um, and being able to step into confidence, even. And we always make better decisions faster when we don't second guess ourselves all day, every day, like when you can go through life knowing what I want, what I deserve and am worthy of, and what I ultimately am working toward, it's a lot easier to get clear about your yes and to say yes. But we often say yes when we really mean no. So until we get to that point,
Hmm.
it's like just being aware of, back to the truth lies in the anticipation. If you said yes to something and you're dreading going or dreading doing it or dreading whatever, like I always say, whenever you and I have something planned together, I'm like, I can't wait. I can't wait till we get to talk
Right?
because I know I trust this relationship. I trust you. I trust that you're going to come to our connection time completely and with value and with care and consideration and love, and that's
Yeah.
just so
I
important.
think discernment is a big, huge part of um, like you're saying, like the flow is a lot faster. I feel like if you practice discernment, then it just almost becomes like breathing. You're like, oh, that's that feeling and I don't want to go over there. Oh, that's a no. And I need to honor that. Even if you said yes at first because you're changing this way about yourself and you realize I really meant no, it is 100% okay to call that person back and say, I've thought about this and this is actually a no. And this is why, and sitting with the feeling of disappointing someone, because of that shift that you're making in your ways and your boundaries that you're keeping for yourself for your own health and well-being. So
Yes,
that's a challenge. It can be really
it is.
challenging.
It is. And, I've learned to just say, and I teach my clients this, for myself, what I say often is, I would love to spend time with you, but I have a commitment to my animals in whatever way, or I have a commitment to my husband in whatever way, or I have like, I'm not saying no to you personally. I'm saying yes to some other area of my life that really matters and is a priority. I made it a priority. And, you know, I I have a list of people in my life, and I have for 25 years or more now, and it shifts around. Like they're in order of priority. And it's like if you're not in that top 10, I probably am not going to answer the phone.
Yeah.
Like, and it's mostly because I am busy taking care of what I can control and what I can influence and where I can make a difference. And I don't need to be distracted by something that is going to just not change,
Right.
or isn't my fight. It's not my battle.
Yeah.
Not mine to carry.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, no, no. I can't. That's a no for me big time. At least what I think I'm hearing you say. It's like, being around environments that don't resonate with your internal environment is very conflicting. And I 100% need to honor that. So there are certain people I can take in small doses, or there's certain circumstances I only do occasionally. And sometimes I've completely just, that's just not in my world anymore, like it's just not. And that's
Right.
okay. I'm not
Yes.
abandoning people. Like that's just, it's just, there was a shift and that's just the way it goes.
Right.
I also want to bring up like the the perception and how to change that for yourself too. Like if you have a generational family that does things a certain way, and your perception of it is, this is the way to do it, but your internal, gauge is saying everything in me says no to this. That's where I feel like big powerful change ends up happening in your world, where you enlighten yourself, you allow yourself to wake up to who you are outside of what you've been taught for so long about that, and I've seen that in our culture too, where I feel like we will see, like years and years ago, talking about how our medical team is a money making, organization and not necessarily for your healing. A lot of people were like, "You're crazy. What are you talking about?" And now it's way more open and way more talked about. Does this mean all the doctors are not good? No, of course not. But are some of them out for money? This is where discernment comes in again. If your
Right.
gut is telling you this doctor's not giving me answers that are right for my body, it's okay to say, I'm not doing that. I'm
Yeah.
not.
Right.
I had to fight for my kids sometimes. Like literally, the doctors were like almost borderline threatening me that I was being a neglectful mother because I didn't agree with what he was saying. And I was just like, okay, this is not the doctor for me. I need to feel
Right.
like I know my kid better than you do.
Yes.
And yes, you might understand medical things, but I'm not ignorant either.
Right. Right. Let's talk for just a second about how you are good at this. How does a person, once we get to alignment, stay in alignment?
Mm. Well, it's just like what we were saying earlier. We have to know what brings us that. So when you think about it, we all bring in the world individually and uniquely through all of our senses. What you see or feel that brings you this feeling of, lightness, or, whatever it feels like for you are in alignment. We've all had moments of being in alignment. I mean, I feel like it's rare that you would find someone who's never had any moments. So it's like picking that moment, so at least you have a gauge to go by. But then what brings you there? One person might be I put on this one song and I start dancing, and next thing I know, I'm back where I'm supposed to be. Because I want to move forward with my decision making and my thinking and my reactions in alignment. So pause. Pause is another really big thing. There is a gap between your thinking and your speaking and your actions. And you're in charge of how long that is. It could be a millisecond or it could be an hour. You know what I'm saying? So that pause is really important, to be acknowledging that. And then practice being in alignment, because you're literally rewiring your brain when you're doing that. That's
Yes.
why meditation does that. You are awake while calm, purposefully, moment by moment, breath
Yeah.
by breath. You're not in the hustle and bustle time, which is an important time too. We got to do that, but we're certainly not focusing on our alignment. But
Right.
once you get it, then you are even in the hustle and bustle. You're not focusing on your breathing or how you're, that it's the same thing with alignment. It's like, okay, I feel it. And then all of a sudden somebody will say something, or my phone will ring, and it'll be somebody that I don't want to talk to, or, a car comes up that triggers something, whatever. I know that just brought me out of alignment, or even a conversation with my husband. And I'll even physically say in my head, this is not worth getting myself out of alignment. I'm
Yes.
just going to handle this a different way because I like being in alignment.
Yeah. And choosing your battles. That's kind of what I'm hearing you say, is choose your battles. Like, and that's been hard for me. I've really had to learn. I've picked some really big fights in my life, and
You feisty
but
girl.
I am. But at this point in my life, when I pick a battle, I will see it through till the very end. Like, and it's not about being right. It's about being truthful and not allowing the stuck, not allowing the fear and the just that veil of shame to stay intact. That's where I'm going to pick battles now. And I don't care if it's my church that I was raised in, or if it's a family situation, or if it's a friend. Like I, you and I've talked about this a lot. I'm a little hard to be around sometimes because I call a spade, and I have to learn how to. I have to practice hard at being nice about it. Somebody said, "Say what you mean and mean what you say, but don't say it mean."
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
and
I think and I mean, when I say you, I mean anyone who has something they really feel passionate about because they know in their heart, in their soul, that this is the right way, and I'm not going to be deferred from that. It's easy to stay on track, and if people are coming
yeah,
in with their own opinions, it's easy to block that. Like, that means nothing to me. I'm on a mission here. I'm on a mission of making this right, because
right,
nobody's going to abuse children in my presence, not while I'm here, right?
right.
So it just becomes this
Yes,
real passionate way.
yeah,
And then there's this other part where I feel like when, we have those other battles, as you call them, I like to stay open minded on those things. Like, if my husband and I are having a disagreement, I want to make sure that I'm really truly listening and feeling his perspective on this situation with curiosity, because there's always room for improvement, or seeing it differently, or that kind of thing. So I just want to clarify, because I know how passionate you are, what you're actually talking about. You're not stubborn and being like, I'm not, nope, this is my way, right? I just wanted to
no,
clarify that.
yeah, no. I'm very much saying I was abused, and I will not stand for that ever again. And if you think that that is appropriate behavior, I'm going to clarify in every way possible that it's not,
That's right.
and that it is completely unacceptable. And, and I will do everything in my power to make that point
Yeah.
crystal clear. Um, but yeah, so yeah. And I will do it till the day I die. Like, that's something about me
Absolutely.
that's, I will never back down
Right.
on this issue. Partly because I know what it takes to crawl back from it. I
Right.
know, I
Right.
know what it takes, and I've done the work, and I've done it for decades, and I have spent weeks in a hospital. I've done the work.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
have,
There's also
so
people who are still in your situation, which I feel that passion too, where there's that
yes,
mother bear that says, "I'm paving the way. If you need to walk beside me or behind me or in front of me, you can surround me wherever you feel comfortable. We're doing this."
yes,
If they want it, there's that
yes,
safe landing for a place to be able to say, "That happened to me too, and I'm
yes,
scared,"
yes.
and that's a real passion for you as well.
It is, and I'm strong enough now to take the brunt. I can take the heat.
Yeah.
I'll absorb that for anyone around me that wants to stand beside me or in front of me or wherever. And that is also, and I also believe in the universe, and I believe that things happen for a reason. And for whatever reason, my life experience has happened in a way that I am now at a point in my life, in this moment in time, that, talking specifically about my church situation, I am in a position of knowing what I know in my bones. And no one and nothing. I am afraid of no one, and I am afraid of nothing.
That's right.
And
Some things are
so,
worth dying for, and this is one of them for
yes.
you. Yep.
Oh, it
I get
is
it.
very much.
Absolutely. And I love
Yes.
that part about your passion. I really do. If that's where things start getting shifted, to speaking of the
Yes.
universe, right? That's
Power changes
important.
hands.
Absolutely. Yep.
When shame goes away, power changes hands. I have had that saying. One of my therapists drilled that into me a long, long time ago, and I have learned to live in that light and
Yeah.
live in that clarity. It is a level of clarity for me that I cannot deny.
Yep.
And, I just, yeah, I want to thank you. We're getting close on time here, but I want to thank you for being such a support for me. Uh, in every area of my life, really, in I do a lot, you do a lot. Um, and we just have little remembrances that we have shared moments together. And I know we both carry those very, very closely. And I know we're very much in alignment on doing good in the world. And
Definitely.
I want
Absolutely.
to thank you for that.